right? How do you grow online? Essentially, SEO is what gets you there. It's kind of one of those fancy words that you don't really want to think about, but it's always there kind of thing. It's like you have a car and your radiator's in the car, but you don't want to think about the radiator, right? It's always going to keep you going. I think a big portion is when it comes down to people that are selling real estate or promoting themselves online, it's important to have knowledge of what you're targeting and what you're going after. And there's ways that you can do it, right? There's certain sort of targeting you can do organically and picking out certain keywords to put on pages. And you can also do your paid advertising, right? We always recommend doing some paid advertising in the meantime while your organic rank is boosting over the next couple months. 93% of searches still happen through Google and big searches on a regular basis, right? So it's important for people to realize where are they placing when it comes to the people around you searching, and are you also positioning yourself to be found in a localized environment and other things like that.
Welcome everybody. I am the host of Just 2 Minutes, Camille Sargi, and today we have Brandon. Brandon, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey everybody, my name is Brandon Maselli. I am co-founder and owner of the E-Comm guys. We do everything from helping people grow businesses online to help doing things like boosting products and all sorts of things. Essentially, we help with everything from products-based businesses, service-based businesses, no matter what it is, we help them grow online in some sort of facet, right? So it can be something like helping businesses promote themselves, or it could be organic marketing, things of that nature, and also do things like supply chain management, helping people launch products online, all sorts of fun stuff like that.
Awesome. Cool. Brandon's a pro at what he does, and today we're going to be talking about SEO and how it works for your business as a real estate agent. So, as you know, this show is called Just 2 Minutes. And I got my timer over here.
This is the best part. I can't wait.
Yeah. Let's get my timer started. So, constructing a building, commercial building, right? Let's say from start to finish, there's, so many people involved in building this commercial building. What job would you want?
Inspection.
Inspection? Yeah. Once everything's done?
Once everything's done.
Anything specific?
Probably end to end, and just kind of tie up the loose ends. Make sure everything looks good.
Okay, awesome. So, you're a young guy. I don't know if you've ever heard of spam.
Yes.
In the can?
Yep.
Okay. But spam's also known as something else that we always get bombarded with. What do you think of both?
I think there's a place for both, because I think that both could either sit on the shelf and look okay, or sit in your inbox and kind of just be there. And sometimes they could both be annoying, right? But I think the important part is that they both exist. That's the good side of it.
Okay, awesome. Some people like the cold, and some people don't. But people like the cold, why don't they move to like Iceland?
Seasons. There's always seasons for everything, right? It's not always snowy. But also at the same time, maybe it's nice to get a little hot sometimes here and there. I bet the people that like cold still have hot showers in their house.
Yeah, nobody likes cold shower. Okay. So there's a little situation going on. There's a bread maker and astronaut, and they're arguing about yeast in space. How do you solve that problem?
I think the question is, does the yeast rise in space or not, right? And I think they could argue better over something else. But that's a great question.
Yeah. Okay, boom, done.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. Wow. Yeah. Weird questions.
I love it. I think that's the best part.
So, yeah, thanks for stopping by. I want to talk about SEO.
Sure.
I think everybody hears that term and they're like, oh my gosh, I wonder how my SEO is doing. Oh my gosh, do I need to keep paying for SEO? People think SEO is something when it's not what they're thinking.
Yeah.
So can you dumb it down where a real estate agent who doesn't really care about, marketing and SEO. I mean, they do care about marketing, but SEO in particular, because we're out there selling homes.
Yeah.
So how can you...
I think the important part is not thinking about the term, but it's in thinking about just growth, right? How do you grow online? Essentially, SEO is what gets you there. It's kind of one of those fancy words that people, you don't really want to think about, but it's always there kind of thing. It's like you have a car and your radiator's in the car, but you don't want to think about the radiator, right? It's always going to keep you going. I think a big portion is when it comes down to people that are selling real estate or promoting themselves online, it's important to have knowledge of what you're targeting and what you're going after, right? Because everyone should have a goal. You should think about specific keywords and certain topics you're looking at. And there's a lot of ways you can look and find holes in the market and certain keywords that you should be targeting separately that maybe aren't as flooded as others. Now, I think it's important for people to realize it's not as overwhelming as it sounds. A lot of times it can be, you can Google it and it's going to sound overwhelming. It's like, oh, well, I have all these back-end keywords and all this H1 tags and my website's got all these funky things going on. But it's not as complicated once you kind of just do a little research and clean it up a bit.
So SEO it stands for?
Search engine optimization.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is basically how do you optimize your website?
Partially, yeah, that's part of it. So a big piece of it is where are you appearing on search engines? So the question is, everyone ranks on a search. So say if someone searches realtor near me, right?
Yeah.
Someone's popping up, and someone that's popping up most likely optimize their SEO somehow to get there. 93% of searches still happen through Google and big searches on a regular basis, right? So it's important for people to realize where are they placing when it comes to the people around you searching, and are you also positioning yourself to be found in a localized environment, other things like that.
Okay. So then how do you let's say I have a website and it's like the only thing on my website is this new listing that I have. I have pictures in there and all this stuff. How do I optimize it, you're saying, so that a search engine can find it?
So the search engines do crawls, they call them. So they're consistently out there looking for new websites and things that are on the market. And so you will come up somewhere. The question is how high, right? You might be found if you say you build out a listing for something and say you're local to this area, you're going to be there somewhere eventually, but you might not be high enough up where people are going to find you, because people usually don't look past the first or second page, right? So you might be on the 15th page, something like that, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, with some of the right tweaking, you can get moved up a bit. And also, depending on web traffic that you're getting towards it, the big thing is a user experience. Does Google view it as a good user experience for the person that's viewing your website, right? Are the pictures nice? Does it make sense what the content is on the page? And is it, again, a good experience for them?
Okay. So if someone, optimizing it for search engines, are you saying like Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, all these other search engines, they do their own thing when they go out to each website out there to check
Depends.
keywords?
And they also work off each other, right? So they're always doing some sort of searching to see what is on your site, and then they'll judge based on what you have on there, what keywords you have, right? So a big piece of it is when you're building out your website, or say you're editing, say you're adding a new listing, something comes up, you might see things like, alt text. You might not know what that is. Like, do I want to put that in there? I don't really know. I'm just going to leave it blank, right? Something like that. All it really is explaining what's in an image or something like that, right? But you might see little boxes when you're building out a new listing on a website and you're unsure, and a lot of people leave them blank. I think it's good to just take a quick Google, see what that is, and find out what you should probably throw in there, just because it's going to help you a little bit more to boost you.
Alternate text for
images.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of it. A big piece of it's like seeing impaired people, right? What are they going to see? What is the speaking device going to say to them, right? When they click on something, it has to speak about the image, right? Oh, this image is a house on a beautiful property with luscious grass or something like that, right?
Okay.
So that might not be picked up, and so therefore it's a bad user experience for all users, right?
Okay. So user experience. So it's kind of like a score sheet.
Essentially.
So imagine your website and the teacher, very mean teacher, always giving Fs. Looking at your page and saying, okay, the first thing I'm going to check for is images, making sure alt text for this image is relevant.
That's one of them. So that's a piece, right? When it comes to searching or doing almost like a website audit, something like that, there's a lot of different tools you can utilize, and they look at thousands of things, right? So a big tool that we utilize is Hrefs or Ahrefs. What we'll do is it will scan a website, it will do a whole crawl against all the links built into the website, and it will pull out any problems and give you a score. It'll say if it's fair, if it's good, if it's great, and it will take into play things like any technical problems, which could be how fast pages may load. Also things like if you have a website, say you have a contact me box and you click it and it goes nowhere. That's a bad user experience. Wow. So it's going to tell you, hey, you have a broken link here or a 404 error here because you're linking to something that doesn't exist. And it will give you a whole score. It'll tell you what to do to fix it. I mean, it's not always easy to kind of go in and make all the fixes because you kind of have to understand a little when you're tinkering around with websites, what you're going to look for. But it will call out everything. It will say, here's 500 errors with the website.
Oh my gosh. This is sounding more and more like a home inspection.
That's why I said inspection, right?
Hundreds of issues with the home.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah.
What do you start with?
The screw is missing here.
Yeah.
One.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like the same thing.
100%.
Okay.
That's a great analogy.
And then the higher your score, the more they bump you up on the list.
Essentially, the better you're going to look, right? And so it still takes time for you to grow. After you fix everything, it's going to take a little time for you to become a reputable website on the search engines before you start to really grow a bit. And there's ways that you can do it, right? There's certain sort of targeting you can do organically and picking out certain keywords to put on pages. And you can also do your paid advertising, right? We always recommend doing some paid advertising in the meantime while your organic rank is boosting over the next couple months. So
okay, I want to talk about that in a second.
Sure.
But first, I want to find out what the number is. Like, picture alt text for the picture is one thing. The form going to nothing, that's another. How many things are there to check?
Depending on the website, it could be thousands or tens of thousands. So we'll do a search regularly for what you think is a basic website, and it will say, oh, we've searched 2,000 different URLs here. I'm like, we didn't know there was that many URLs that were involved here. And so it can be very in-depth. And luckily with the tools nowadays, it goes quick. Like, it takes a few minutes and it goes through everything. And that's what the search engines are doing. They're constantly looking through and they can see everything that we may not be able to see.
Okay. So your job is to improve that score and improve their reputation so that they're getting more traffic.
100%.
Organic traffic.
Exactly. So the organic side is huge because who wants to pay for advertising forever? Of course, it's good to pay because you boost yourself up, but it's like, why can't you be there number one anyway, right? But what can you do in the meantime to get yourself there? And that's the big thing of optimizing your website to give it a good user experience, making sure things are loading correctly, making sure that your links all work correctly, make sure the images are nice and clean and clear, right? Again, make sure the images are loading, right? You don't want to have any problems when someone's going into your website, because think about it from the customer's perspective. How are they going to judge it when they kind of log in and say, oh, it says there should be a photo here, but there's no image. Oh, this link won't even work. I can't even find this button. It's kind of, although you have good intentions, it's going to cause some anxiety and kind of bother people a bit. Well, you wouldn't even think about it, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I would think like people aren't that picky, but I mean, the worse the site is, someone's actually going to get picky and be like, I clicked on this, like, what's going on? And then they leave.
They get bothered, exactly.
And that's the worst thing that could happen to you. Someone gets to your site organically, which is like, they type in search for home near me in Rhode Island, or home for sale in Rhode Island, or in Woonsocket, and then they get that, they get to your site, and then they try to do something, and they escape quickly because it's wasting their time.
There's a metric for that, like a bounce rate, how fast people bounce out of your site once they've been in there, right? So how long do they actually stay in? Is it 3 seconds? Is it something quicker than that? So there are ways you can kind of see different metrics around how fast people come in and come out,
Wow. No, stay here. I'll give you a cookie. Oh, you're full? Let me prepare the bed and make it nice and cozy for you.
It's funny you say the cookie side, because how often do you see when you open a website it says accept cookies, right? It's like, oh, I don't have to accept cookies every time. Let me just see what's on your page,
Yeah.
And you can adjust when it asks for cookies and stuff like that, because the idea would be to kind of understand who's looking at your pages. right? Your little cookie crumb trail there. But that's one thing. It's always like, think about how much of a nuisance it is sometimes. Like, oh, hold on, let me accept or deny. It's like, who is this wanting my information? You know.
So let's talk about terms like the SEO terms that you're putting in. Best realtor in Rhode Island, or homes in Woonsocket, or multifamily deals, or whatever you're typing in, trying to be creative and coming up with stuff.
That's great.
What if you put fake terms on your site to kind of trick the Google?
So the thing, when you say fake term, right, the idea, I think, would be more of, okay, what are people searching, right? So if you could put, it's important to put terms that maybe don't exactly, I don't want to say line up, but sound different, right? Instead of saying real estate in Rhode Island, it could say luxury cottage in here, Rhode Island, right? So it could have a different tweak to it while saying the same thing. And the reason I say that is because there's going to be search terms. If someone types in RI Realtor, that could be one of the highest searching terms, and it's going to be very competitive to rank on.
Yeah.
But if someone is searching luxury property in a certain town, it's not going to be as competitive. Now, it might be, of course, right? But certain keywords aren't going to be as competitive as other ones. So the trick is finding the keywords that you can rank on easily, that still get tens of thousands of searches a month, and that you can pop up on faster. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then once you pop up on those terms, then it's an easy transition to actually what you're trying to get to, right?
Exactly. And it's about bringing the people in, right? Once they're in for something, they're going to remember your name and they might want to click around your website, right? How easy do you make it to flow through your website too? Because you might have a page on a luxury property and someone goes down and at the bottom it says, check out other properties, or the best way to contact us, or find something similar, and it's a link to your own website, right? So it's like, oh, let me click similar properties, and it brings you to a search page on your own website, right? As opposed to someone backing out to say, oh, let me go find other properties similar. Now you've kind of given them the option to stay within your website to do it, right? So it's kind of, how do you get them in and then keep them in? Right?
Okay. So you try to think of that strategy for your clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Nice. What if, like going back to the fake thing, can Google find out that you're using terms that are not related to your website?
Well, so there's a couple things in that, right? The question is, how many people are searching them? Because you could put something that it might sound like completely different. It might not make any sense to have it on there, but no one's looking for it. So it wouldn't make sense to put it on there, right? Versus if it were a funky keyword that had a ton of search history, like maybe someone said online real estate, and maybe they were thinking about purchasing domain names or something like that, right? Online real estate. You could have something that says, like, make a page targeting those keywords and say, oh, instead of online, why don't you check out real estate or something like that? Like, and you could kind of have a little fun with it. And a way you could do it is with blogs. You could utilize blogs to say, hey, these keywords, we can target them and kind of write a story about this area and loop it back to ourselves somehow. And you can use AI to write you a nice blog that will use the keywords you ask it to and make it flow together nicely. And now you have the keywords, the fake keywords, right?
Yeah.
Tying in nicely with your website and using other keywords and looping back to who you are, you know?
Amazing. I read a lot of articles on different websites, and some of them are super annoying because pop-up and all this stuff that comes up. Does that count against you as far as search engine?
Pop-ups can be one thing, depending on what kind of pop-up it is, right? If it's like a subscribe here, not as bad. But if it's a paid advertising pop-up, like someone's, hey, here's a whole different business advertising, it might hurt the website experience a little bit.
Okay.
But if it's also, think about it, if it's blocking the page, if it's cumbersome, if it's in the way, then it's going to hurt the user experience. Yeah. So little things don't hurt, but
because I click back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm done with this.
Exactly.
I don't want to know about this subject. I'm mad.
I don't want to talk to you ever again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I guess people are picky. I mean, if I'm, if
we
I'm
all
thinking
do it.
about it.
Yeah, we all do it.
Because time is money, and you're, you're like, all right, I have 5 seconds to read this article and learn this. And it's like, I can't. So I'm going to go on to the next thing.
Exactly. We all have like a 3 to 5 second timer. We don't even realize it's subconscious. Like, think about scrolling on a video, you're on Instagram or people are on TikTok, how fast people swipe through. It's like within seconds they know if they want to stay on or not. How do you catch people's attention?
Yeah. All right. So people finding me online. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do that. I guess your Google business page and with SEO. And there's a lot of realtors.
Yeah.
Like how could someone compete with everybody else?
I think the big thing is building your personal brand. I think that's very important, especially as a realtor. People are buying from people they like, and they want to work with you, right? So if they like you as a person, maybe a deal fell through and it wasn't the right home for them, but they want to stick on and work with you once they've met you, kind of thing,
Yeah.
But the trick is, I always think about is how do I get people to like me without ever meeting me, right? So I think it's important to do things like promote yourself online and do podcasts and do videos, and you want people to kind of enjoy your company without ever having to be around you the first time, right? And so I think that's a big piece of it. And then secondly, it's again, consistency is a big piece. Like how consistent are you out there? And even if you're reusing content, it's like, okay, this is new to somebody else, right? You might have reused a video somewhere, but it's new for more people, right? So it's about how often you're out there and how often you're appearing in people's face to say, oh, I recognize this guy, or I recognize this business name, right?
Yeah.
So that's a piece of it.
Linking, referencing other websites from your website, that's another good thing.
Yep, absolutely. So think about it like this. A big thing that you want on your website is people maybe on a blog somewhere or other businesses referencing you and tagging you. So why not do it for them, right? When you're doing it for other people as well and tagging in their businesses, it kind of promotes that, hey, you are here to help the community almost. You're trying to provide a good user experience by connecting other locations and other businesses that might have better help, right? And so it's definitely a good thing to do link backs and linking things, backlinks they would call them.
So I would have like a blog saying, oh my gosh, the home prices. And then I reference CNN and then send it to CNN, but CNN doesn't need really traffic, do they?
But I think it's more important to say, okay, is there a local news place that I could tag, right? Do you have a local paper maybe? Or like there's a lot of local renowned magazines that go around. It'd be cool to tag one of them, and it's also cool to ask a local business, or you have a lot of connections. Hey, you mind tagging me in a blog? I'll tag you in a blog, right?
Oh, okay.
So say like you work with a lot of home builders. Hey, I know you're doing blogs. Can you tag us in a blog? We'll tag you in a blog. Cool.
Like awesome. Influencers.
Yeah, or if it's a construction company or someone that's pushing content on the internet for themselves often, it's like, let's do a collaboration,
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. As far as like paid advertising, Google's the biggest one. So what are you paying for?
So it's interesting. It's kind of works off a bid structure. So essentially, to say there's a keyword, RI Realtor or Rhode Island Realtor, right? So that's your keyword. Who's going to pay the most to get to the highest point? So if you're making a Google ad, you'll see, it's a range, or you could see a price of a keyword sometimes. Yeah. But it's going to change. Like you could say, I want to set a number similar to say 80 cents a click, right? And okay, well, Google will try to keep it around that. But if you want to do $5, it's going to push you up. And then you're competing against whoever's going to spend the most money to get to the top. Wow. So that's the tricky part. And that's the good and the bad about paid advertising is pay to play will get you there. If you want to throw the cash at it, you'll get there. But the problem is, how do you make your money go the furthest? And how can you actually get up there and not be competing against these big companies that have unlimited budgets that will spend $10 a click, right? Because essentially they work off of a cost per click, right? So every time someone clicks in, you're paying for that. So that 80 cents that you bid, you're paying that every time someone clicks your link. The trick that we normally do is we'll find keywords that are affordable and have tons of traction. So we'll find ones that the average is 15 cents versus $1.60 for some of the higher ones. Like, okay, let's go after some of the low-hanging fruit here. That way there's still tens of thousands of searches on these, but people aren't really bidding to be up them. So we can bid ourselves 20 cents now. And now for 80 cents, you'll get 4 clicks as opposed to just 1 click.
Wow. So even the kid that stole his mom's phone and clicked on my ad.
Oh, you're paying.
I got to pay for that kid.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. So I stay in business,
Yeah, that is crazy. And then like, what's the highest click ad that you've seen?
I mean, it's crazy. Some of like the big, like nationwide like searches, you'll see $10, $10.50 a click on some of these big searches, depending on what it is, of course, right? Yeah. If it's someone selling a certain product, say if someone's selling protein powder or something like that, right? I'm sure that's going to be a big one. So it's like you have big companies that are all bidding to be up at the top there. People pay a lot of money. So.
Wow. Okay. So I could be paying $10 every time someone clicks on.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Depending what it is. And that's why
even
it's
a kid,
important.
Even a 5-year-old kid.
5-year-old kid, they don't care. They'll take your money. They don't care.
That's crazy. Yeah. What about videos? Mm-hmm. How's that? Is that the same way, like on YouTube?
Yeah, so it's important to kind of build your videos and target keywords, again, in a similar way. So one thing to point out, say if you were ever building out a Google Ads campaign, you'll see a click. It's like, oh, do you want this promoted on YouTube and other things, right? The keywords do spread across multiple platforms because on the search engines, they all tie back to a brand, right? So your brand, they're going to signify your brand with specific keywords that you're putting out on social media and long form, short form videos, in the captions, things like that. So depending on what you're targeting when you're making your videos, it is very important to kind of make sure you're aligned with your business goals and with your website goals.
What if I sent the video link or a web page to friends and family, and I said, hey, can you send this out to your friends, to send it out to their friends, to send it out to their friends, and click on this link?
Yeah, it's great.
How's that? Does that help?
So I think the biggest thing, I've always said this, is like use your network. Don't be afraid to ask somebody, hey, what do you think of this? Or hey, would you mind checking this out? Hey, I posted this. Would you mind signing up for it? I think it's important to ask the people that know you or that you just know or even just barely friendly on. Because people always like to help each other. And I think it's exciting for someone that sees, oh, my friend is doing this, I want to support them. And it can be nerve-wracking too to ask for, you feel like you're asking for a favor, but it's like, no, you would do the same for someone else. It's like, get out there. It's okay to ask. It's not a big deal to ask, I think that's very important.
Okay. As far as like realtors, what's, in your opinion, what's important to have on their website if they had a website?
I think it's going to be important to have an About You page, right? Talking about you and talking about your experience in the area, right? You want to throw a lot of keywords in. If you're targeting locally, you're going to want to throw a lot of local keywords in there and say, oh, we serve what the areas you service and stuff like that. And I think it's also cool, say you're selling in Connecticut, Mass, Rhode Island. I think it's kind of cool to have a page for each and say, hey, here's a bit about Connecticut. And maybe learn more about the areas that we service and the areas that we sell in, and kind of talk to the people on your website by showing them the state that they're looking at, right? Like, oh my God, I know that farm or something like that, right? Yeah. It might sound like silly, like, oh, why should I make a page about a state when the people that are buying, that are moving from there, already know what it is? It doesn't matter. You're causing a good experience because you're kind of helping people to get comfortable with a potential new home in a new town, things like that. And there's so many ways now to say, hey, give me information on this town. Say you're asking AI, give me some information, some bullet points on this town. And make a list of towns. It's like, hey, here's the areas that we service. Learn more about each town. Yeah. It's kind of a little trick there. It's like a different way to target things you wouldn't expect normally, but something I have in mind.
Nice. I mean, for us, like having a website, and sometimes, especially new agents, they're like, all right, I want to get my website up. I want to get my business cards out. I want to get ready. And they think like those are important to get started. I mean, they just, get started. You don't even need. But if you do have those, if you have a website that you can get organic leads from, or even pay for leads, that's moving you forward.
A big piece of it is just having a place that people can find you, right? Even if it is, say you handed a business card to someone and maybe you haven't focused on your organic targeting, hey, just check out my website if you have any questions, and they'll pop in, they'll see your face again, and it gives them a place that they can feel, I don't want to say comfortable, but they know they can go to find you kind of thing, right? Even if it's not through a search engine, it's through a different QR code or something that you've handed out. It's a good way for people to be like, oh, I can go find this person.
Yeah. I know also realtors have a lot of the brokerages that they work at provide them with a website that's connected to the MLS, so all the listings are on there. But even with those, you can still help them, right?
It's when you're working through a brokerage and they have a website, like a whole kind of website ready for you to go, it's important to see what their website is, right? And if you have the ability to kind of ask questions about, hey, how is this being optimized? It's okay to ask, right? And see, hey, have you guys kind of targeted my specific website towards the regions that I'm selling in, right? Because you could have the MLS on there, but is your keywords, again, targeting your local selling market? Because you might have big brokerages that are selling in 15 different states, right? And it's like, okay, how do I make sure that I'm being targeted in Rhode Island, not someone in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's something you can ask about. And
okay.
You could probably put it in your bio. I'm assuming there'll be a bio on the person, right?
Yeah.
Put it in there and kind of...
So you can help them with those whole things. Like customize it and improve it so that they're getting a bunch of traffic, organic, and even better, like paid ads to get them there.
Yeah, and there's ways to do it too. It's okay. Sometimes you may not be able to make too many changes if you don't host your own website, if you're not allowed to manage it, right? You have to work within your boundaries, right? At the same time, you can still do paid advertising and push meta videos and social media posts and things like that then link to your website in a separate way. Same with the Facebook advertising. You could have, when you're doing your Facebook ad, the action button could be a phone number you could tie to it, or your website, or something else, to a post, things like that. So you could have a few different methods of pushing people there in other areas like Facebook and Meta.
Okay. Speaking of Facebook and Meta, you can also help with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
With helping integrate their website to...
Yeah, a big thing is kind of just optimizing and making sure that your social media stuff is clean. You have your websites in there, your hours for, if you have a local business, or say you have an office, right? I'm going to be here 3 days a week. Put your hours in there. It's important to make sure you fill out all the information possible so it looks good. Put in your geolocation for your office if you have one, things like that. That way, like,
goodness, there's so many involved, so many things involved.
A couple things. It's not too bad once you get through it and like, all right, let me just fill out every box. It's not too bad. You just kind of go through the process.
But I mean, if you're helping someone, you can kind of like tell them what to do. Like,
definitely,
this is your list of things to do, and you can do it yourself.
Absolutely. And a big thing we'll do is, all right, we'll look through, we can just kind of make sure everything looks good and you have everything filled in. Because think about if you're starting your own new social media page, it's like, I don't want to fill all this crap in. I don't even know what it is,
Yeah.
So people may not always fill things in to the extent they should be. So what we can do is we can take a look and just give a peek at it. And we also like to offer advice to say, hey, we think you should make a post like this, or we think this kind of post would help you kind of drive people, stuff like that. I think it's important to be on there as much as you can and kind of let the people know who they're doing business with and show your face and talk on camera. As uncomfortable as it might be, it's important.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw you speak at a conference. I mean, I met you before, but I heard you speak at a conference and I was like, wow, Brandon's like a wealth of knowledge. Like, he's super, like, and to you it's like, it's second nature, but I was impressed with your knowledge and like everything to do with.
I appreciate the compliment. I'm not that special, but thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's you're humble, but no, you were very thorough and like explained everything, and I'm like, this is really big good on my show.
I appreciate it. Oh. It's something too. I know we've met before, and I want to give you props for your cigar networking that you host, and I find that's one of the best networking events I've ever been to.
Oh, thank you.
When I started going to more events, I'm like, I'm just going to get out there and show up, and I found your event online, and I popped in. I'm like, this is cool. I went around a bunch of fellow business owners and people that like to kind of just go for it and working hard, and you had the whole mastermind when you sit there and everyone gets to ask questions. Yeah. It was a really good experience for me because as soon as we were like, oh, mastermind, my first time, like, oh, you don't have any questions. I'm like, I got questions. Please help me, Yeah. But I find it useful because I know my place, right? I know my place in the world, and I know that I can learn from people. And I look forward to always learning more from people that I feel that I look up to and things like that. And so I find that the event that you've done that for a long time now. You said 9-10 years, right? Yeah. that's impressive, right? So it's I think it's one of the best events out there. So
Crazy.
thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I'm glad my SEO skills got you to find me.
Hey, it was great. I had it on like one of the websites there that has events. I'm like, oh, let's figure out what it is. Let's just try it out. And it was the best idea. It was the coolest thing ever.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
It's great.
So how do people find you so you can help them and look at their stuff and be like, give them advice?
So our website is ecommguys.com, e-comm We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, things of that nature. You can find us on there. We try to be out there as much as we possibly can. Started to do more social media content for ourselves as well. You know, you might as well get ourselves out there if we're telling other people this is the right thing to do. So you'll see us more and more on there as we go. But this is great.
Definitely. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you very much for having me. This has been an amazing experience. I really thankful to be here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
My agents got a squad, we all in the zone. In-house help, so they ain't doing it alone. They focus on clients, negotiating win, while the back end's handle, man, that's how we spin. I hand them business, watch them all climb.